Swear you guys in and to get rolling with questions. For the past 15 months, political violence has been a constant fact of American life. We've seen arsons and bombings, armed ambushes and assaults.
The violence from the left is undeniable.
Sniper attacks and mass shootings, riots.
That it comes almost exclusively from the left, also undeniable.
We've seen assassinations. We've seen murder.
Somehow, liberalism, the progressive ideology, the ideology of anti-war and anti-hate.
They're determined, militant extremists who wield violence for political ends.
Now states, my truth is your law. How did the most anti-violence movement in America become the one most willing to rationalize, even cheer, political violence?
Charlie Kirk just got shot in the neck.
Got Charlie Kirk, bro. I've never been happier. The 15th photo!
I've been saying you to bring back political assassinations. I don't feel bad.
Y'all keep on talking about his wife and kids. Like, get rid of the whole family. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Why did you guys stop with him?
The answer is one sentence you probably hear every single day, and you probably agree with it. Stay with me. This is not your first video, I'm sure, on violence and the left. However, I promise you that it will be the most insightful. You're aware, I'm sure, of the data. You're aware that it is happening, and I need only explain why. I hope to show you the precise reason why the modern left is inherently violent. Spoiler alert, it's subjectivism. First, I'll outline how the subjectivism animates the everyday, average, modern liberal. Then I'll show how it necessarily leads to violence in three distinct ways. Finally, I'll outline a clear path forward that we must take to avoid disaster. For the sake of this discussion, the left is anyone who adheres to what would be called progressive values. These being equality, social justice, and the protection of marginalized communities. However, in their attempt to empathize and listen to people's subjective experiences, their worldview became warped by the belief that all truth is subjective.
So there is nothing in my book and my work anywhere that is true. I never speak the truth. I'm telling stories. I'm telling new stories or different stories, or trying to anyway, new narratives. So what I tell people, and I've told my students this for decades, don't worry about what is morally good or morally wrong. Figure out what you want.
110%. Okay, then what cause of morality do you think the state should ascribe to?
There's no basis for morality. Morality is what the collective believes.
Why does your opinion trump over any other people's opinion?
Right, so do you believe that there is a truth out there?
Everything is subjective, but there is a right or wrong morally, especially when you're in a cultured society that is based off a set of standards and norms that we act on and we act as.
That perhaps for our most tricky disagreements, seeking the truth and seeking to convince others of the truth might not be the right place to start. In fact, our reverence for the truth might be a distraction that's getting in the way of finding common ground and getting things done. Now, that is not to say that the truth doesn't exist, nor is it to say that the truth isn't important. Clearly, the search for the truth has led us to do great things, to learn great things. But I think if I were to really ask you to think about this, one of the things that we could all acknowledge is that part of the reason we have such glorious chronicles to the human experience in all forms of culture is because we acknowledge there are many different truths.
Some may see that and ask, why is subjectivism wrong? The platitudes in those clips allow different people to get along despite their differences. They will continue, we actually need more subjective ideals, and to repeat them regularly if we want to stop the political violence you speak of. They're very wrong indeed. These slogans and the ideology are not the solution, but the cause of the violence we see today, especially in America. It seems paradoxical. It's true. For how do sayings like,
I never speak the truth, I'm telling stories,
lead to violence? I've come to see that there are 3 ways that the subjective mindset leads to a violent mindset. It blocks one's ability to listen and deadens any desire to persuade. It creates a perceived need for self-defense from ideas. And it concludes political opponents to be inherently wicked. Each of these reasons leads to violence, as you'll soon see. So, reason 1. If truth is subjective, there's no reason to listen or persuade. Let's mull over again what all truth is subjective really means. It means that truth is dependent on or taking place in a person's mind. Truth, then, is based on a person's experience, understanding, and feelings. I have my own truth, and he has his own. It means that reality itself is all in your head and depends on nothing external. Your feelings are the ultimate arbiter of truth, and all judgments are simply perceptions. It's not as though we look through different telescopes to see the same star, distorted somewhat by our different telescopes, but rather that our telescopes point at nothing, and they simply show us what we believe to be out there.
I'm certain that the truth exists for you, and probably for the person sitting next to you. But this may not be the same truth. This is because the truth of the matter is very often, for many people, what happens when we merge facts about the world with our beliefs about the world. So we all have different truths. They're based on things like where we come from, how we were raised, and how other people perceive us.
In the subjectivist perspective, truth and true things have no inherent value in themselves. Rather, different beliefs appeal to different people purely based on preference.
So what I tell people, and I've told my students this for decades, don't worry about what is morally good or morally wrong. Figure out what you want.
And therefore, what you believe comes from who you are as a person. Now, remember this point for the future. It's going to come up a couple of times. If truth is subjective, then you're already right about everything.
Say it clear! Say it loud! Say it clear! Gender ideology is a mental delusion. Gender ideology contradicts basic biology. What about kids that are being groomed dying because you're saying to people? Hello? 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 Smell like trash! Insults aren't arguments. They have nothing to say. No arguments.
Which means that everyone else is wrong. Now that we understand this, think about a subjectivist's reaction to anyone who disagrees with him. Let's say we have person A and person B. A believes that all S is P, while B believes that some S is not P. These are contradictory statements. Objectively, they cannot both be true at the same time and in the same way. However, if all truth is subjective, then they are both true, at least to each person's point of view. Subjective truth is preference. So if A is a subjectivist and recognizes that B's opinion contradicts his own, he must conclude that B is wrong in A's point of view. Why? Because A thinks that truth is subjective, which makes his own opinion necessarily right to himself. A cannot consider that B holds the truth, because that would make the truth outside of A himself, and therefore objective. A can now dismiss B's opinion completely out of hand. After all, there's no point in entertaining ideas you know from the start are false. If A were to change his mind and agree with B, it would not be for any external reason, but only because A felt better about B's view.
We want to have a conversation. We want to have a conversation. Get the out of my face! Get the
Hi, I saw your sign.
I'm not talking to you.
Who's a fascist here?
None of us are interested.
You speak for her?
Please leave. None of us.
Okay, so you're not interested, but I'll still do my job. Who's the fascist here? I'm just curious.
You don't know.
I hope you see now how subjectivism undermines listening and therefore undermines reasonable discourse. If someone disagrees with you, then he is necessarily wrong to you. He is in error because his views contradict your truth, which is the same as the truth to you. And just as he is necessarily wrong from your point of view, you are necessarily wrong from his point of view. Subjectivism doesn't make everyone right. It makes everyone a god.
So you haven't actually spoken to the actual people that were there.
I've listened to their testimonies.
Because a lot of this history isn't written down. It's a lot of oral history.
I have interviewed some that attended there. Do you have a question for me, given that I have, but I also think the truth should come out about what's there?
I don't have any questions.
Okay, So I interview people, and I have interviewed people. I even interviewed the chief, too. And did you know the chief no longer says that there are 215 remains there?
They never said any. Actually, there's the media that says that.
No, sir, did you want me to show you their claim on May 27th of 2021? They said the kids were as young as 3 years old, detected by ground-penetrating radar. So you're defending a claim that they no longer make. Why?
I'm not defending any claim.
Okay, well, I spoke to people who attended there for many years.
I don't know who you spoke to, so I'm sorry. I'm not.
Then why did you ask the question?
I didn't ask it of you. I asked it of her.
Okay, but I'm a journalist. I ask questions. She's a
residential.
Given these things, if you truly believed live your truth and truth is subjective, then why would you listen to people with different viewpoints? It's uncomfortable. Why would you do something uncomfortable for no apparent reason?
They don't believe in dialogue. The root word of dialogue is logos again. They don't believe that people of goodwill can come to consensus through the exchange of ideas. They believe that that notion is part of the philosophical substructure and practices of the dominant culture. So the reason they don't let people who they don't agree with speak on campus is because they don't agree with letting people speak. You see, it's not part of the ethos.
Now, by this same logic, there's no reason to persuade others. In the subjectivist's mindset, not only do you have your own truth, others have their own truth, as we just discussed. The door swings both ways. Why would a subjectivist waste his time and energy trying to convince someone else of his view? Why should A even try to persuade B of his own viewpoint, given that A thinks B's opinion is true to B? How would he even go about doing that, given that A hasn't lived through B's personal experience?
Ma'am, don't talk to him. He's a fascist. Oh, is he? Oh, you, Muppet.
We have here an Antifa-style ladies. They believe in repressing your freedom of speech because God forbid you talk to anyone from the other side. This is why the left fails. They want to repress your rights. They're authoritarian people. They want you to not have a voice. It's so important that everything they say you hear and nothing I say. No second opinions on anything.
No, I'm not doing an interview for Rebel News.
Okay.
I think news is a very loose
Where's your
term.
consent form? There's no such thing in Canada. It's a free country. We're in a public place. That's why this is all happening. You know what? When I went to university, too long to mention on camera ago, it was great to have conversations like it. You guys seem like genuinely scared and angry about it. Why is that?
Because it is scary and we are angry.
Why is it scary to talk to someone you might disagree with?
Because, no, it's not that we are scared to talk to people that we disagree with, because we talk to people that we disagree with all the time in a proper medium.
This mindset creates a culture where people stop discussing, stop arguing, and stop persuading others of their own ideas simply because there's no point. It creates a culture of banality. Dead minds, perfectly content, wallowing in the mud of their own ignorance.
There's a lot of government waste.
I don't think you should talk to that guy. He's a right-wing puppet.
No, hey, wait, no, don't touch my don't assault me!
Back in the day, there was a common understanding that truth will out. Or that ideas that correspond to reality, i.e. are true, will win given time. In contrast, subjective truths cannot stand on their own. The leftist cannot admit that truth will out. There is no inherent quality in subjective truth that makes it more believable, higher quality, more persuasive, more true than any other subjective truth.
From the Anti-Fascist Handbook. At the heart of the anti-fascist outlook is a rejection of the classical liberal phrase, incorrectly ascribed to Voltaire, that I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. After Auschwitz and Treblinka, anti-fascists committed themselves to fighting to the death the ability of organized Nazis to say anything.
The leftist, ultimately, does not believe in a fair marketplace of ideas. He does not believe that better ideas will rise to the top, simply because he believes there are no inherently better ideas, only different ideas. Contradictorily, he also believes that there are ideas that need to rise to the top, and so are better than other ideas. For example, that tolerance is better than intolerance, etc. But better by what standard? Who knows? Since the leftist believes that these same ideas are not inherently more persuasive than any others, the leftist concludes that the only way these ideas can stand is for him to personally defend them with force, if necessary.
If you're a postmodernist, just to have a discussion with someone like you, you know, a heterosexual, what do they call a cisgendered male of power, you know, and white to boot, it's like that's an evil act in and of itself, because all you're doing by engaging in dialogue with that person is validating their power game. That's all. You see, and this is no aberration that these people don't engage in dialogue. It's no aberration. It's built right into the philosophical system. They regard the idea that if you're in one power group and I'm in another, the idea that we can step out of that group, engage in a dialogue, have our worlds meet, and produce some sort of
understanding of each other.
Yeah, some sort of negotiated understanding. No, that's part of your oppressive patriarchal game, that idea. That whole idea is part of your game. So if I even engage in the dialogue, I'm playing your game, you win. It's a complete assault. People don't understand that postmodernism is a complete assault on two things. One, it's an assault on the metaphysical substrate of our culture. And I would say that the metaphysical substrate looks something like a religious substrate. So it's a direct assault on that. And the second thing it's an assault on is everything that's been established since the Enlightenment. Rationality, empiricism, science, everything. Clarity of mind, dialogue, the idea of the individual, all of that is not only, you see, it's not only that it's up for grabs. That's not the thing. It's to be destroyed.
Now, to be clear, the vast majority of everyday liberals are peaceful people who would never throw a punch, much less a Molotov cocktail. Most of them are simply repeating slogans they heard in college or social media. However, these slogans come from a philosophy, and that philosophy, when taken seriously, when taken to its logical conclusion, erodes every barrier that once kept political disagreement civilized. Reason 2. If truth is subjective, then there's a need to defend the ideas that you hold by means of verbal or physical force. There are two ways that this can happen. The first comes from the subjectivist conclusion regarding harm. The second, from the subjectivist's confusion between an ideological attack and a personal attack. Step 1. The subjectivist's understanding of harm. For the leftist, feeling harm is the same as actually being harmed.
Oh, you're giving me the finger? Hi. I'm standing in front of the social work building. I'm harming individuals by asking that question. Well, you want to come down and have a conversation about it?
this statement being made. We're curious about it. We're also just worried about the harm being done to passersby.
What is the harm?
So there are people who went home because it was so triggering and
We had some students.
So I think the end result is
You know you're on film, right?
that is totally fine.
Okay.
There are real people who are really hurt by this statement. So I think
What were they hurt about?
question that because that's not how they identify, and so it seems like a really triggering statement to just say there are two genders if that's not been your experience. So it's very harmful and very hurtful, and there's human lives that were affected. So I think that's the message we're trying to send, is to maybe consider the questions that you're asking or posing before you begin your thought experiment.
If truth is subjective, then truth about harm is subjective. And thus, harm is determined by one's own feelings and perceptions without an objective standard. Essentially, if you feel like you've been harmed, then you've actually been harmed. And if that harm comes from a person, then you're being attacked, and you have a right to defend yourself from that attack.
That's why it's reasonable, scientifically speaking, not to allow a provocateur and hate-monger like Milo Yiannopoulos to speak at your school. He is part of something noxious, a campaign of abuse. There is nothing to be gained from debating him, for debate is not what he is offering. By all means, we should have open conversations and vigorous debate about controversial or offensive topics. But we must also halt speech that bullies and torments. From the perspective of our brain cells, the latter is literally a form of violence.
You should use they, them pronouns. So you saying that you
And what
don't
if I
believe
don't?
me...
What if I don't?
If you don't, I would consider that disrespectful, and that's actually an act of violence to misgender a trans
It's an
person,
act of
or-
violence.
That is an act of violence to intentionally misgender someone, yes.
Here we come to the issue, and this is why I'm out here. You just said that's an act of violence. That means
Yes.
it's an actionable offense. That means it's a crime. So you believe that for
I
me...
didn't say it's a crime, I said it's an act of violence.
act of
There's
violence.
a lot of things that are not considered crimes that are acts of violence.
Step 2. An attack on an ideology is an attack on the person himself. A subjectivist feels harmed when his ideas are challenged, especially if those ideas concern identity, such as LGBTQism. Think back to reason 1, where we proved that subjective ideas come from a person's self. The subjective truths that you hold are closely tied to who you are as a person. So if you attack the idea, you necessarily attack the person. This is why when Michael Knowles says,
transgenderism must be eradicated from public life entirely,
the left interprets this as we must eradicate transgender people, which is not the same thing at all.
Now, Rolling Stone's headline about the event claimed that Knowles had called for, quote, transgender people to be eradicated. And Knowles called that headline libelous and demanded a retraction, which Rolling Stone complied with. And their new headline then read, CPAC speaker calls for eradication of transgenderism and somehow claims he's not calling for elimination of transgender people.
A person with common sense will understand the difference between a personal attack and an ideological one. A subjectivist will not. This is where the words are violence shtick comes from. To them, these words, these attacks on their beliefs, are genuine attacks against their persons. And if you're being attacked, then you have a right to self-defense. This is where the left turns violent. By adhering to subjectivism, the leftist thinks that real violence is the answer to the opponent's politics, provided that it makes the leftist feel emotionally harmed.
This idea that speech is violence is rooted in academic philosophers who are fundamentally self-described and avowed Marxists. Herbert Marcuse, Michel Foucault, and the intersectionalists. They believe that there is no such thing as objective truth, that frankly, there is no reality itself. There is only power and words.
From the Anti-Fascist Handbook. There are 3 main arguments that anti-fascists use to justify their occasional violence. Third, fascist violence often necessitates self-defense, although anti-fascists challenge conventional interpretations of self-defense, grounded in individualistic personal ethics, by legitimating offensive tactics in order to forestall the potential need for literal self-defense down the line.
It's uncomfortable to have one's deeply held beliefs and convictions challenged, but it's also necessary for the flourishing of the individual and for the growth of society at large. By the way, now's a good time to point out that while I do my best to look at all the evidence, I'm only human. If I've made any substantive errors in either my induction or deduction, I'll put their corrections in a pinned comment below. Reason 3. If truth is subjective, then people who disagree with you on extremely important issues are inherently evil. Most of the time, when a subjectivist encounters contrary ideas, he usually responds with a shrug, or with saying, wow, it sure is cool that, different people, different cultures have different ideas, and that's just diversity. This changes, though, when it's about important ideas, or ideas that the subjectivist, the left, thinks are important. Why do various people have completely contradictory opinions on various serious issues? Reason would say that disagreements come from having an incomplete understanding of reality and or an incomplete understanding of the evidence. If truth is subjective, however, then the difference in conclusions between people comes from the very innards of those people themselves. To remind you of reason 1.
What's the truth?
The truth is that this is Nazism. This is white nationalism. There's no room for hatred on this campus. They need to get off this land.
The subjectivist must conclude that the only way to eliminate the view is to eliminate the person who holds it. Let's go back to persons A and B. Let's say that A believes that all humans have human rights, while B believes that some humans do not have human rights. A looks at B's opinion and rightly concludes that his view is heinous. However, since A is a subjectivist and thinks that B's view is his truth, and therefore some human beings do not have human rights is true to him, A can only conclude that B himself, his person, is heinous.
Did you see Charlie Kirk was just shot?
Really?
Yes.
Wait, did they hit him?
Yes, maybe. So much of what Charlie Kirk said was straight up misinformation and just bigotry.
Charlie Kirk was violent in his words.
His style is inducing fear in others. Don't give the other side the opportunity to speak. Just stamp them out of existence. He has nothing to fear. He's a white conservative man. It's all such a false bad faith premise that people are being uncivil and violent. The people who are uncivil and violent are Charlie Kirk and his friends.
If truth is subjective and truth only arises from the person himself, then it follows that if the truth is evil, harmful, etc., then the source of that truth, i.e. the person, must be evil, harmful, etc. There is no external reason for B's heinous views because, to a subjectivist, no truth is external. Truth is only internal. A rightly concludes that B's view must be eliminated, but wrongly concludes that the only way to do so is by eliminating B himself.
Why are you swearing at me? Why? Because you're being a f***ing asshole. You don't belong here, and you need to get the f*** out of here. You have your own personal agenda.
This is a public institution.
It is a public institution. And guess what? You're f***ing losing the battle. Leave. You have no business being here. It's a public institution. This is a university. This is a place of higher learning where people care about one another. Okay? It's not about you.
This.
Show some respect.
I'm 70 years old. All we're trying to do is get to the truth.
Incidentally, these last two reasons are why the left constantly calls everyone who disagrees with them an Nazi. The polemic of Hitler is a method of verbally defending their beliefs. Reason 2, and they genuinely believe that people who disagree with them are inherently evil. Reason 3.
Himmler.
Yeah.
Goebbels.
The big
Hitler,
H. That dude.
Heydrich.
And Flippy. How come everyone you don't like is Hitler?
We don't want Charlie Kirk on our campus. We don't want fascists on our campus. We don't want to support that here.
What is fascism? Immigration.
I don't know. I'm not like a political scientist. I'm not good at interviews. You should ask someone else.
I know he's not.
I remember
but
her.
It's more just of getting the community together to just go against.
A lot of people. He's not actually a fascist. So then why call him a fascist?
Well, I don't know the exact definition of a fascist, so I don't know if he is or isn't a fascist.
Doesn't know what a fascist is, but screaming at me that I am a fascist.
One of the students who organized this thing, she's sitting there injured. What are we doing?
The vast majority of the school hates you. They just want you.
We don't want you here.
We were there. We were invited there by our Students for Life chapter at VCU. The students have had trouble with Antifa disrupting their events in the past.
Right now it looks civil. This is not going to last. It slowly begins to escalate until the first person gets arrested.
Nazis go home! Nazis go home! Nazis go home! Nazis go home!
Where's the campus security?
Nazis go home! Nazis go home!
They can't disrupt this.
Nazis go home! Nazis go home! Keep walking, mother.
Please. Get out of here.
Keep going, you Nazi.
I was trying to have dialogue, man.
I don't care about your dialogue. Your dialogues are based off the extermination of other people. Get the across the street, mother. Get the across the street.
We're not hostile. We're not hostile here. Sir, why is he not welcome on a public sidewalk?
Get the camera out of my face. Get that camera out of my face, or I will take it from you. Okay?
Phone right here.
Is this his phone? All right, guys, he just got pepper sprayed for attacking and assaulting someone. No, you're not gonna get your phone. Actually, you get it. Here you go. There we go. Yep.
So, yeah, that's the argument. I hold that the core idea of progressivism, that all truth is subjective, is the core reason why the left is so violent today. They are violent because they have no reason to listen, no reason to persuade, so physical and verbal aggression is the only way to change someone. 2, they are violent because they can only defend their ideas with this same aggression, not with right reason and persuasive arguments. And 3, they are violent because to them, heinous views can only come from heinous people, and those people must be eliminated.
It's absolutely crucial to understand this. You can't underestimate the power of ideas and also the power of words, of course, because ideas are expressed in words. But you see, the postmodernists completely reject the structure of Western civilization. And I mean completely. So I can give you an example in one term. Jacques Derrida, who's head trickster for the postmodernist movement, regarded Western culture, let's call it the patriarchy, as phallogocentric. Okay, so phallo comes from phallus, P-H-A-L-L-O. And so that's the insistence that what you see in Western culture is the consequence of a male-dominated, oppressive, self-serving society.
So, where do we go from here? How can we heal the wounds and bridge the gap between the left and the right? Simply, we must reject subjectivism and embrace objective truth. There's this idea in modern culture that you must not criticize someone's deeply held beliefs, that they are sacrosanct. Never discuss politics or religion, the liberals will say. They believe that unity between people means ignoring our differences because they see differences only as a source of conflict. We cannot continue this practice.
Again, we go back to the moral standard of
There's
what
no
is wrong.
absolute truth
Yes,
over here.
there
You're
is.
trying to say
Do you
there
believe
is.
that absolutely?
You got me.
Do you believe it absolutely? You said there's... If there's no absolute truth, do you believe it absolutely?
Personally.
Our differences have become too great and too important to simply ignore. Instead, we must discuss, criticize, and defend our deeply held beliefs. We must do so often, and with as many people in our circles as possible. We must do so without either giving or taking offense. No longer can we simply coexist. No longer can we simply live and let live. No longer can we accept the lie that all beliefs are equally true. Why? Because the truth is out there, and we can discover it. Here's an interesting problem. The Declaration of Independence is an incredible document, foundational to the American identity. It also contains one critical error in its logic. Take a look at this video to find out why. Thank you all very much for watching. God bless.